make room for God. I 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 make room for God. Clearing out a space so God can move through me. Clearing out a space so God can speak through me. Clearing out a space so God can love through me. I make room. I make room for God. For God. Oh, I make room for God. Oh, I make room for God. 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 Oh, I'm clearing out a space so God can move through me. Clearing out a space so God can speak for me. Clearing out a space so God can love for me. I make room. I make room for God. For God. Oh, I make room. Na na na. Da 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 da. I'm clearing out a space so God can move through me. I'm clearing out a space so God can speak for me. Clearing out a space so God can love through me. Oh, I make room. For God. For God. I make room for God. so God can move through me. I'm clearing out a space so God can speak through me. Clearing out a space so God can love through me. Oh, I make room for God, for God. I make room for God so God can speak through me. I make room, I make room for God so God can move through me. I make room for God, make room for God so God can move. And it's in my surrender that I found power. Yes, it's in my surrender that I am made stronger. I make room, I make room for God so God can move. Oh Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. I make room for you. I make room for you. Room for you. I make room for God. 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 Clearing out a space so God can move through me. Clearing out a space so God can speak through me. Clearing out a space so God can love through me. I make room, I make room for God, for God. Oh, I make room for God. Oh, I make room for God. 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 Oh, I'm clearing out a space so God can move through me. Clearing out a space so God can speak through me. Clearing out a space so God can love through me. I make room, I make room for God, for God. Oh, I make room. Na na na. so God can move through me, clearing out a space so God can speak through me, clearing out a space so God can love through me. I make room, I make room for God, for God. Oh, I make room for God. Oh, I make room for God. 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 Oh, I'm clearing out a space so God can move me.
Hello, hello. Happy Sunday, beautiful people. It is so very good to be here with you as we, on this Sunday morning, celebrate the magnificence and significance of the presence and power of God flowing in, through, and as us. And let us begin, as we always do, with prayer. I want to ground us today in a reading from the Daily Word, and so you can close your eyes and take in this reading as we use this to move us into affirmative prayer. The word today is prosperity, and the affirmation, practicing gratitude deepens my experience of prosperity. My life may be full of blessings, my family and friends, my home, my memories and experiences, but it can be easy to take it for granted if I focus more on what I'm missing rather than what I have. Being thankful, expressing my gratitude for my good opens my heart, but it also opens my eyes to the many ways I am prosperous. I count my blessings, pausing to give thanks for each one. The more often I do this, the more feelings of gratitude will fill my heart, crowding out constricting feelings of scarcity, fear, or envy. From the serenity I feel in my heart to the peace that calms my mind, I am prosperous. As I greet each day with a prayer of thanks, my blessings abound. And again, the affirmation, practicing gratitude, deepens my experience of prosperity. So here and now, we take a moment to just take a breath in, breathing in through our nose and releasing from our mouths. Inhale through your nose. Exhale from your mouth. We inhale. We exhale. There is only one mind, only one power, only one divine intelligence, only one good, only one love that is working in all, through all, and as all, that is working in us, through us, and as us, that is working in you, through you, and as you, that is working in me, through me, and as me. This life is Mother, Father, God. This life is good. This life is perfect. This life is our life now. For as God is, we are. God is the all in all. God is the all that is. God is the ground of all being. God is the thing that is back of, behind, and underneath every expression of life. And we are the individualized and particularized expressions of the divine. As God is, you are. As God is, we are. As God is, the planets are. As God is, the birds are. As God is, the insects are. As God is, every blade of grass is. As God is, every grain of sand is. As God is, the clouds are. As God is, the moons are. As God is, the stars are. We are individualized and particularized expressions of God. We are one with it, and nothing can change or alter or deter that reality. So right here and now, we accept it. We accept the truth that we are one with God. Right here and now, we accept it, that the power and presence of God is operating in, through, and as us. Right here and now, we accept it, that we are divine. Right here and now, we accept accept it that we are perfect, whole, and complete. Right here and now, we accept it that we are prosperous. Right here and now, we accept it that we are worthy. Right here and now, we accept it that we are sinless. Right here and now, we accept it that we are fearless. Right here and now, that we accept it that we are more than our bodies. Right here and now, we accept it. We are more than the physical expression that we represent on the earth at this moment in time. We accept it. We accept our spiritual, holy, divine, sacred nature. It is the truth of who and what we are. Spiritual beings having a human experience. And because of this, we gather today. We gather today to celebrate this truth. We gather together today to remember this truth. We gather together today to deepen our awareness of this truth. We gather together today to get it in the marrow of our bones. We gather together today because we recognize that as we deepen our awareness, our life reflects the deepened connection to the all that is, the deepened awareness to the all that is. So we say yes to all that is to come in this weekend service. We say yes to it, and we open up our hearts and our minds to receive, knowing that it will support us in living, in thriving, in being the God experience on this beautiful planet. So it is with joy and thanksgiving that I release this prayer. I release it back into the law, which is always in operation. And I know that it is responding to the word that has been spoken now. So we relax. We relax. We patiently wait, knowing that God always shows up. With joy and thanksgiving, we lift up our voices and say, Amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
So it is.
So it must be. Yes, yes. Well, hello again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is where you are now. It is good. It is a good time. And we're grateful to be here with you. We are here celebrating our weekend service, as we always do, celebrating the magnificence and significance of the presence and power of God flowing in, through, and as us. And we want to take a moment to say hello to our first-time guests. If you are a first-time guest joining us today, we're happy that you chose to connect in with us and connect into the stream, and we're confident that something will be done or said to support you in your life, to support you in thriving. Something will be done or said that empowers you. And so what you see here on your screen is the information you'll need to access your digital connection card. It's very easy to access your digital connection card. All you need is a phone and with text messaging abilities. And so you see the information here on your screen. Just text the word welcome to 347-472-1078. When you text welcome to that phone number, you'll then receive a response with a link. And that link is to the digital connection card. Click that link. It'll take you to the page that you will complete. The most important information is your email address. If you don't fill out anything else, there are only a few fields, but your email address is most important. Submit that form, and then you'll receive a response letting you know that you're all set. You are indeed all set. You'll be on our mailing list. You'll receive our weekly email that goes out on Friday, and any other correspondence that we need to share with the community. But again, we're grateful that you're here, and we're absolutely confident that there's something good in store for you, and you are not here by accident or coincidence. So as I mentioned, the email that goes out every Friday, now is a wonderful time for us to tap into our news and updates, which reflects some of the things that you see in the email, and then we can move forward with the message, the meditation, the music, and the message. Every Wednesday morning, we gather together for the Momentum Prayer Call. This is your opportunity to tap into the vibration of prayer in the middle of the week. This is your opportunity to continue the momentum that we create on Sundays. It's also a wonderful way to start the momentum for your day, because we know that where our minds go, our lives go. And so we do that through this beautiful practice of affirmative prayer, a definite movement of mind in a definite direction to accomplish a definite end. We do not ask, beg, barter, or beseech God, but we simply declare and know the truth in the present tense that it is changing the condition of our minds, which again changes the conditions of our lives. And so that happens every Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You see the information here on your screen. This is how you access the prayer call. This information is also in your inbox. If you're on the mailing list, call in a little bit before 7 and wait. We share a reading, and then we pray. That reading grounds us in the prayer. We pray and we move on with our day. It takes about 10 minutes total. You also see that there's a playback number because we do record every prayer. So the most recent prayer is available to you right here, right now. You can use that phone number and the access code and wait, and the most recent prayer will play. You can use that at any time later today, anytime during the week. You can send that information to someone else who may need to hear a prayer, who may need to tap into the vibration of prayer. It's a wonderful resource. We trust that you all will continue to use it because it is a powerful resource. But more importantly, we would love to connect with you all on Wednesday. Put this in your calendar, put the information in there so that you can be there live with us. Now, if you have a prayer request, we invite you to send that prayer request to prayerchampions@celebrationsc.org. Our prayer champions, Pastor Yolanda and myself, are always holding the entire community in our hearts and our minds in prayer, knowing the truth with and for you. But we recognize that you may have a specific prayer request. We recognize that you may want to send in a prayer request on behalf of someone else. We welcome that, and we look forward to standing in the absolute knowing with you around that situation. And when your prayer is answered, when there's a victory, when there's a shift, we also encourage you to email us at this same email address and let us know how your prayer has been answered. Let us know about the shift that has taken place in your life. Every third Sunday is God Talk Sunday. And so the third Sunday of this month is October 15th. What is God Talk Sunday? Well, this is the opportunity to ask questions. On God Talk Sunday at 1 p.m. following service, we host a open, honest, loving forum for anyone to ask questions, right? You have to be there live in the room to ask the questions. But we recognize that when you're on this metaphysical path, particularly if you're new to the path, there's a lot of unlearning that happens. And so you have questions. You want to apply these principles to your life. And no matter how long you've been walking this path, we all run into obstacles. We all have questions, new questions. And so PY and I are here and available. No question is off limits. It's a wonderful time. It's an empowering time. Everyone leaves uplifted and changed by making the decision to actually be there. And so as I encourage you all to put this in your calendars, when you can create a recurring event because it's every third Sunday, but put it in your calendars for this month and make a decision to be there. The Zoom link and password is shared with our mailing list. So you need to be on the mailing list in order to get that information. And we look forward to the questions that will come forward this month for the God Talk. We are highlighting, going into the archives of CSC and highlighting a series each month as we are in our 10-year anniversary. And this month we're going back to October 2015, Superstition Ain't the Way. The title, of course, is inspired by the Stevie Wonder classic, Superstition, where he writes, "When you believe in things you don't understand, you suffer. Superstition ain't the way." And this is absolutely the truth, right? There are so many things consciously and unconsciously that we believe in or have been taught to believe in, but we don't fully understand the implications of it, and it is actually causing suffering in our lives. This is a very powerful series. We start out the series with breaking down some things around the so-called devil. All right, the first sermon in that series, Whose Devil Is It Anyway? And I think that sermon actually is a great link to last month's sermon, Breaking the Binary, because I actually start to break down the history of Satan and Lucifer and how that even came to being and why there is a belief in some other power. And then we start to debunk some things. A wonderful, wonderful message. That's just one of the superstitions that we deal with. But I think the biggest superstition that folks have, thinking the devil is busy, et cetera, et cetera. So I encourage you this month, as it is also spooky season, and we love to celebrate many of the symbols around Halloween, to tap into this series because there's something empowering and enlightening here for you. As always, we encourage you to share, like, comment, and subscribe. So please, if you are not already following us on Instagram, follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. We encourage your comments, we encourage your likes, and most importantly, your sharing, right? This is an easy way to let folks know about CSC, let folks know what's going on at CSC. You can share this stream and whatever platform you may be on. You could even just text the link to someone that you think may be interested in joining us today or watching later on today. And that concludes our announcements, news, and updates for today, which means we get to move into our meditation, which will be led by Pastor Yolanda.
Yes, yes. It is a new month. It is October, the first Sunday in October, and we have the opportunity to begin the month with a new affirmative thought. In alignment with our message series, we will be affirming, I make room for God. Why is that important? Because we are often externally focused. And how do you know you're externally focused? When you are in worry, doubt, and fear, when you are in comparison, or when you are in doubt, you have not remained connected to the source. You haven't made room in your life for God in that moment or in that situation. And so it's important that we use our meditation to clear out, to make room for God, to make room for insight, to make room for answers. Quite often, our biggest fear is that we don't have the answer or that we don't know how. But the how is not your business, the how is God's. And if you make room for God, you will receive the next step and the next step and the next step. The how will be provided for you. The knowledge will be available to you. You will be able to plan from the infinite. I make room for God. I let go of my worry. I let go of my doubt. I let go of my fear. I let go of my past. I even let go of the future. I just make room for God. Let us prepare ourselves, because meditation is not just memorizing words or affirmative thoughts. Meditation is a deep connection between you and the divine that we get to make room for. I remember when Pastor Greg's song, I Make Room for God, was first released. I listened to that song on repeat everywhere I went, the beginning of my day, because it took me out of the equation. It put God at the center. It put God at the front, the back, the sides. I make room for God. Let's do that now. Within ourselves, let's connect and make room for God. But before we do that, go ahead and find yourself in a comfortable seat, seated upright in a chair on your sofa, feet on the floor. Maybe you raise the heels or wiggle the toes, just realizing that the feet are there and releasing any tension as you relax the feet to the floor. Align the shoulders over the hips so you're not sitting too far forward or too far back. You're just nice in the center, allowing vertebrae to stack on top of each other. A perfect line of energy to open and make room for God. And now, from that correct, comfortable, aligned posture, look around the room, find a spot where you are. Bring your full attention to it. And tell yourself that you're here now. Here now in preparation to make room for God. Here now connected to the breath. Here now available to insight. Here now where love is. And from this place, plant the palms on the tops of the thighs. And allow the eyelids to close. As we close the eyelids, we release our focus on the external. We signal our body to move inward, to focus on the breath, to align with God, to make room for God. Just notice the breath for a few rounds. Beautiful, everyone. Now, because we have the ability to go beyond judgment of the breath, whether the breath appears to be deep or appears to be shallow, it matters not. It is moving. It is signaling that there is something flowing in, through, and as us. It is signaling the body to relax. And now let's take conscious control of the breath, sending our attention and our focus deep into the low belly. For we may have breathing very shallow, we may have been in upset or agitation or anxiety or fear. When we drop the breath deep into the belly, it signals the body to relax. It takes our focus into the depths of our being. And from this place of knowing and feeling and focus of attention, let's inhale together for a count of 4. Inhale, in through the nose. Hold the breath. And open the mouth, relax the jaw, and sigh it out, noticing the breath as you release. Again, in through the low belly, expanding the belly as you inhale. Hold it there. And hearing yourself release anything that would separate you. In through the low belly, up through the rib cage, expanding the sides of the body, sending that breath out, taking up room with the breath, making room for God. Hold it there. And relax the jaw, sigh it out. And release the breath. Noticing the silence at the end of the breath, preparing, making room for the next breath and more God. Inhale, expanding the sides and the front now and the back of the body, sending that breath into the back. Hold it there. And without collapsing the body, release the breath. Let it all go. Sigh it out. In through the low belly, connecting low belly to mid-breath. And now sending that breath up to the heart. From that grounded place, the breath rises to the heart altar. Hold it there. Relax the jaws, sigh it out. And notice the silence. In through the low belly, up through the rib cage, up to the altar of the heart. Hold it there. And sigh it out. As we elongate the breath, everything slows down to make room. Everything opens and expands. Let's take a few rounds of deep breath in through the nostrils, allowing the breath to circulate through the body, and then release it through the nostrils by closing the lips. And this time again, inhale through the nose, holding at the top. And when you're ready, releasing through the nostrils. But let's slow it down. Count to 6. Maybe this week you thought it was all on you to do. Maybe this week you thought you had to have the answers. And maybe this week you forgot to make room for God. We are using the breath now to clear out a space so that love can occupy. Clear out a space so that joy can fill. Clear out a space so that ease can make its way through your body. Few more rounds on your own because it feels good to make room for God. Beautiful, everyone. Now let's send this ease and this joy and this love into our feet. See, the breath now is animated with God. It's animated with love. It's animated with health. It's animated with prosperity. Send it into your feet. As your focus is on the feet, maybe you raise the heels, maybe you wiggle the toes. As you release the breath, stop the movement. Release the feet. We surrender into a deep connection. We make room. And now we allow that energy to flow up through the soles of the feet, across the ankles. Relax the ankles. Energy now is available to make its way across the shins and the calves. If you notice any tension there, release the breath, release the shins and the calves. Energy flows across the knees. We open to more flexibility, more ease. Relax the knees. Energy flows across the thighs and the glutes and the hamstrings. No need to hold tension. Relax the thighs, the glutes, and the hamstrings. As we release all of this energy, we make more room for God. Sending that energy up from the base of the spine, allowing it to travel up the spinal column, allowing that Kundalini to rise, that power. We inhale, we exhale, and we allow. Inhale, exhale, and make room as we allow. Energy flows in and up. Exhale and allow. And the energy flows up. Exhale and allow. And up. Each time we breathe in and exhale, we make more room. Inhaling up. And when you're ready, exhaling through the nostrils. And up and out the crown of our heads. In your mind's eye, see yourself as an open channel. That energy that is gathered above you and connecting us all is the energy of the life force, is the power and the knowing and the connection to God. We make room for it to flow back down through the crown, across the third eye, down the throat, across the shoulders, down the arms, and out the fingertips. As we scan our bodies one last time, we make no judgment. If we notice tension, we just send the breath there. We open up and we allow and make more room. As we prepare for our silent time, scan the body, notice what's happening there. Send the quiet, send the peace, make room for God. You can turn the palms up to receive more or turn the palms down to ground. Wherever we are, from this open place, we have made room. Room for insight, room for healing, room for harmony. I will monitor the time. You just continue to make room for God. If the mind wanders, it's okay. We bring it back to our affirmative thought, I make room for God. We release any judgment and we make room for God. I make room for God. You make room for God. We make room for God. Now. With our eyelids still closed, seated in the stillness as open channels for God. With our eyelids still closed, we relish in this moment of connection. We've allowed ourselves to empty, release what no longer serves us, and to make room for unending goodness, to make room for God. Let's bring this knowing back with us, that whenever we feel uncertain, we just need to close our eyes, take the breath, and make room for the answers, for the insight, for the peace. Let's slowly start to signal the return. If the palms are turned up, turn them down. As we make contact with the tops of the thighs, inhale, draw the shoulders up by the ears, elongating. Breathing deeply. Exhaling, releasing the shoulders back and down. Inhale. And release, shoulders back and down. And one more time. Inhale up. Exhale, release the shoulders back and down. And bring the palms together at heart center. Lightly touching the thumbs into the sternum, bowing the chin towards the fingertips. And with ease, slowly allow the eyelids to open and find a nice soft gaze. No strain on the eyes or the experience. There is no rush. There is only God and there is only now. Inhale. Raise the chin, raise the gaze, keeping it soft. Release the breath. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, PY.
You're welcome.
We will continue to go deeper with our meditation throughout this month. As always, I encourage you to come back, use this meditation throughout the week to tap in, to drop in whenever you need to. It's a beautiful thing and a wonderful resource that we can always come back to YouTube and make use of the meditations from any month. But of course, we're in the vibration of making room, so let's stay in that vibration. And so our sermon series for this month is entitled Making Room for God. We know, and I talked a bit about it last week, that as we are in the fall season, in order to spiritually ascend, we must first spiritually descend. And this is a time of going within. And so I want to support you all in doing that practically, intentionally, and deliberately. And so we're going to start with today's message. The beginning is the ending. But before we get into the sermon, we're going to hear from Soul 21. So I'll see you on the other side.
I call you beautiful. I call you beautiful. I call you beautiful. Beautiful God.
Love unconditional. Love unconditional. Love unconditional. Beautiful God. God, beautiful. Oh, God, beautiful. Oh, God, beautiful. In the mountains down high. You are love. You're a beautiful God. You're a love unconditional. That's the attribute of love. Love is unconditional. Love us without conditions. Beautiful God. Beautiful God. Beautiful, loving, unconditional God. Ease, grace, peace, joy, good and only good. Good and only good. This is who and what God is. This is who and what source is. This is who and what the universe is. Beautiful, beautiful. God, I call you beautiful. I call you beautiful. My beautiful God, your love unconditional. You love me as I
My. I am so grateful for the gift of song and songwriting. I'm so grateful for Soul 21 and the Celebration Band. That's one of those songs, as many of you know, Paramahansa Yogananda is one of my gurus. Has influenced me in so many ways. And I was introduced to that chant, "Oh God, beautiful," which is actually, the words come from one of Yogananda's gurus, Guru Nanak. "Oh God, beautiful, at thy feet I do bow." And I was so inspired by that I had to take those words and write something powerful. The idea that God itself is beauty and is beautiful. And then further understanding that God becomes who and what we need it to be. To the lover, thou art love. In the forest, thou art green. Right? The color green is God, the beauty of the green, the beauty of the fall season, that is God. Just a powerful, powerful idea that cannot be said enough, cannot be sung enough, because it starts to destroy all of the foolishness that has been placed in our minds around who and what the divine is, who and what the all that is, who and what Mother, Father, God truly is. Well, hello again. Good morning. It is so wonderful to be here with you all, and I'm excited about this new month's series, Making Room for God. There's something powerful here for you if you open your hearts and minds to receive it, and so we'll dig in, and I actually want to start with an exercise. So I have a few questions for you. What is your greatest desire? Just take a moment and just, without any judgment, what is your greatest desire? What is your biggest dream? It may have been something you've never uttered out loud. You may not have said it to anyone. It may not even be something that you've written down before. What is the life that you've imagined that you haven't reached yet? And I invite you in this moment to just close your eyes as you meditate on your greatest desire, your biggest dream, and the life that you've imagined. Feel that desire. In your mind's eye, see that dream. Let your imagination run wild for just a moment. Let your imagination run free, unfettered, unshackled, unbridled for just a moment. Do you feel it? Can you see it in your mind's eye? Can you touch it? Can you taste it? Does your imagination take you to that future timeline? Are you living it? Are you being it? Are you experiencing it? Now let's just take a collective breath in through our nose. Hold. And exhale. And when you're ready, let's open our eyes. What thoughts showed up during that brief exercise? Were there any doubts? Any thoughts about how ridiculous this exercise was? Did that logical, rational voice show up explaining all the reasons why that particular desire and that specific goal or that big dream can't happen right now? Did that voice tell you that your dream is unrealistic? That you're too this or not enough that? Did you hear the voice of judgment mocking you for still having that same unfulfilled dream after all these years? Maybe you were reminded of your failed attempts in the past to realize this dream? Did you tamper down your desire? You had an idea of what the greatest desire is, what your biggest dream is, but you didn't actually allow yourself to fully think it all the way through. Oh, I'll be satisfied with $1 million instead of $100 million. Oh, this will be enough. Did you play small in that brief exercise of imagination? Now, if you answered yes to any of these questions, it's all good. There's no shame here. There's no blame here. There's no heat. There's no judgment. In fact, any of these thoughts are natural, normal responses to an exercise like this. If nothing of the sort came up for you, I'd say you're probably not being fully honest with yourself, or the voice of fear, doubt, and worry has become so normalized in your mind that you don't even hear it as a voice that doesn't belong to you. Now, last Sunday, in the honoring of the beginning of fall, as we honored, last Sunday was the first Sunday in fall, I talked about this season being a time of going within. That this season is a time for clearing, listening, and quiet planning. And I would offer that really, as I say quiet planning, we actually could put quiet in front of all of these. It's a time for quiet clearing, quiet listening, and quiet planning. And I encouraged you all to take time to go within during this season. But I know that all of this is easier said than done. And I wouldn't want to leave you hanging out there trying to do this or figure it out on your own this month. So what we're going to do is go through this process together in the month of October. Quiet clearing, quiet listening, and quiet planning. Because you see, this is how we make room for God. Now, in the exercise, I asked you to go to your desire. I asked you to imagine it. I asked you to feel it. I asked you to picture it in your mind's eye. And this is an important step in the creative process. However, oftentimes this is where people get stuck. Because we're told to focus on the goal. We're told to visualize the desired outcome. We're told to get full of the feeling, but we do that and nothing happens. We do that and we're in the same circumstances. We do that and we're not living our biggest dream. Now, focusing, visualizing, and tapping into the feeling are all important parts of the creative process, but they're only part of the process. You see, the secret to creating elegantly is knowing that the beginning is the ending. And if you're with me right now, I invite you to just type that in your comments, write it down in your notes. But just so I know that you're with me, the beginning is the ending. This is a secret to creating elegantly. Another way of saying this is to say that how you start something determines the outcome. We all know that before a home is built, before a skyscraper is erected in any major city, we know what must be done. You have to dig the foundation. Yes, yes? And of course, this is what Ernest Holmes is writing about in The Science of Mind. As we read in the introduction of the Science of Mind, he tells us that we have to create definite molds in mind. We have to create definite molds. We create them in the subjective mind, and then God as substance fills it. Last week, I talked about the feminine principle of understanding that the subjective mind is reflective or is the feminine principle. I used the example of an oven. Right, that an oven receives whatever you put into it, right? An oven doesn't say, oh, well, I don't want to bake a cake today, or I don't want to roast a chicken today. No, I don't want to roast sweet potatoes today. It doesn't do that. Whatever you place inside the oven, it has the power to roast, to bake, to broil, whatever it is. Right? Even if you put something that's actually not edible or we shouldn't be eating, right? You put it in the oven's gonna heat it up, right? The oven's gonna cook it. The oven's gonna bake it. And so it receives whatever's placed in it without hesitation, without resistance, and without judgment. And so this is how substance God, as substance, fills the molds that we create. So what is your job? Your job is to create the mold. What is God's job? To fill the mold with itself. God is substance. God is the I am that I am. God is the I will be what I will be. God is the great responder and the great becomer. You've heard me say this often, right? God becomes, right? God actually doesn't do in the way that we think about human beings doing, right? But God is simply responding to what we provide, right? The all that is, substance is just responding. It's just filling the mold without hesitation, without resistance, and without judgment. So how do we create the mold? A definite mold is created in mind. A definite mold is created through our pattern of thought. And we know that where our mind goes, our life goes. Yes, yes. And so in truth, we begin with our pattern of thought, and as that pattern of thought becomes who we are, in truth, we become the mold. In truth, our life becomes the mold. And so making room for God is really a process of becoming that which we desire. Making room for God is a willingness to be transformed. It's the same willingness that a plot of land represents as it becomes available to the process of excavation. And the thing is, if you've ever seen a home being built or a new building being put up, sometimes deep excavation is required depending on what's being built. Now, this preaches by itself. Lord have mercy, this metaphor. See, sometimes we think we're making room for God. Sometimes we think we're creating a foundation, but actually the foundation is shallow. I did some quick research and I was looking at what is the foundation required for the Empire State Building? Well, the Empire State Building, the depth of the foundation is 55 feet and 8 inches deep. Now, for most homes, a foundation only requires about 2 to 3 feet. And so if you've got an Empire State vision for your life, an Empire State Building vision for your life, it would require the equivalent foundation. But again, sometimes we think we're making room. Sometimes we think we're creating the foundation. Sometimes we think we're creating the mold, but our molds are actually shallow. Creating the mold for a home, but your vision is the Empire State Building. Creating a home for an apartment building, but your vision is the Empire State Building. Creating the vision for some little cabin, but your vision is an arena or a stadium. That just changed somebody's life. And I'm sorry, y'all, if I'm getting all up in your business today. But it's important that we understand this. And what we're talking about here when we're using this metaphor of foundations, I'm talking about the foundation in your mind. I'm not talking about human conditions and human standards and human requirements. They matter not. So don't think that we're talking. Sometimes we get this vision and we're like, oh, well, I need 10 degrees for this vision. Oh, well, I need $10,000 for this vision. Oh, well, I need to live here for this vision. Oh, I need to look like this for this vision. I need to dress like this for this vision. I need to know these people for this vision. See, that's like human foolishness. I'm not talking about that. That's not the foundation that I'm talking about. We build the foundation in our mind because the beginning is the ending. What I know to be true is that where you start, the foundation that you have will determine the outcome. And so this is why understanding that the beginning of the ending is so critically important in using the creative process and realizing your biggest dream. Just as the foundation determines the strength, resilience, and longevity of a building or a home, so your mental foundation will determine the outcome of your life's vision. In the exercise, we began with, if any of those questions of fear, doubt, or worry came to mind or resonated, and I see in the comments that it did resonate with many of you, you have now some valuable information. See, we just uncovered the condition of your foundation as it relates to your biggest dream, as it relates to the life that you've imagined. And again, this is not an opportunity for shame or blame. Nobody is in trouble, and you're definitely not in trouble with God. These thoughts are normal. just given the world and society that we live in, and given the ways that we've been conditioned towards the negative, the ways that we've been conditioned towards not believing that the good can happen and not just living in that place first. And so the reality is that what happens is we uncover these things so we can release them and replace them. And the two pieces are important, right? So often folks are just living in the release. Oh, I'm releasing this, I'm releasing that, I'm releasing this, I'm releasing fear, I'm releasing doubt, I'm releasing worry, I'm releasing thoughts that don't serve me, but not replacing it. Nature abhors a vacuum. And so if you release something, there's empty space. But then external life will fill it up if you don't consciously fill it up. And there's a whole lot of things out here that are not maliciously trying to fill it up, but it's just the way the world works. You're at work and you hear conversations and people are complaining and talking about the economy, or talking about how hard it is, or how hard it is to be a parent, or how hard it is to be in this industry, or how hard it is to get ahead, or how hard it is to get promoted, or how hard it is to get a loan, or how hard it is. Right? And all of those conversations are out there. We're receiving them, and then we hear stuff on the news and we see other conversations. Unless we are deliberately replacing, your releasing is not going to be valuable. So again, you got good information, and we have this information which then supports us in releasing these things and replacing. I want to give you an affirmation that's a little long, so I'm not going to ask you to repeat it back, but you can come back to this and use it. I release all thoughts of fear, doubt, and worry, and I now replace them with thoughts of love, calm confidence, and joyful expectation. I'm going to read it again for you twice. I release all thoughts of fear, doubt, and worry, and I now replace them with thoughts of love, calm confidence, and joyful expectation. That feels good. One more time. I release all thoughts of fear, doubt, and worry, and I now replace them with thoughts of love, calm confidence, and joyful expectation. See, the beginning is the ending. Imagine for a moment if you would place love, calm confidence, and joyful expectation at the beginning. What is the inevitable outcome? See, what most of us have been taught to do is just go out and do. Oh, I have the idea. Let me go do it. But if the beginning is the ending, you actually want to insert things into the beginning that we know will outpicture in, through, and as the ending. And it doesn't matter what your goal is. It doesn't matter what your dream is. It doesn't matter what the life you imagine looks like. What matters is the foundation. What matters is the definite mold you create in mind. What matters is the definite mold that you are becoming. And I'm not belittling your dream. I'm encouraging you to understand that how you start a thing determines the outcome of a thing. You see, in truth, and you might not hear this many places, but you can fear your way into your dream. You can worry your way into success. You can doubt yourself all the way to the biggest stages of life. But the beginning is the ending. And so while you sit in that achievement, you will be riddled with insecurities and anxieties, and you won't trust people, and you won't trust yourself, and you'll be paranoid, and above all else, you will be unfulfilled. You won't be settled. You won't be able to appreciate what you've accomplished. The world will celebrate you, but none of that will resonate with you. I was reminded of many of the words that were shared at Whitney Houston's funeral. Beloved soul, one of the greatest voices of all time, let alone our generation. And one of the things that came up was how she did not believe in herself. She did not trust that God-given talent and ability that was within her. And unfortunately, we see the ways in which she used substances to try to quiet down the voices of fear, doubt, and worry, and insecurities. So when I say that, because it sounds crazy, it's like, wait a minute, hold up. Metaphysics, I thought we were supposed to, hold the vision and be positive, and I thought we're supposed to be releasing fear, doubt, and worry. Yes, we are, because the beginning is the ending. But you can worry yourself into success, right? Just like you can hoard yourself into wealth, right? There are many people that are wealthy out of hoarding, not because they believe that they're prosperous, right? Because they're stingy, right? They're wealthy because they feel like there's not enough. That's not a prosperous mindset, but yet they may have millions of dollars, right? You can fear yourself into success, right? That actually what's motivating you into success is because you fear other people's opinions, or you fear some idea of an appearance of being a failure. But what I know to be true is that the beginning is the ending. And so whatever is inserted there in the beginning is going to inform the outcome. And again, so then you will be living the achievement, but you can't appreciate it. You'll be unfulfilled, unsettled. You won't be able to live in the full joy of that expression and that achievement. Now, as I say this, it's important that we understand that this doesn't mean that you have to immediately master love, calm confidence, and joyful expectation before you can begin. It's like, oh, okay, well, now I got to focus on love and joyful expectation and calm confidence. I can't do anything with this vision until then. Not saying that either. Because you see, like a seed that is planted, it will grow in time, with time, and over time. What's our job? Our job is to water it, to nurture it, to speak well of it, to speak kindly to it, to encourage it, to place it in conditions that will allow it to thrive. So when we're talking about making room for God, this is what we're doing. That we set our lives up in such a way that we are watering, nurturing, speaking well of, speaking kindly to the things that will benefit us in the long term. Love, calm confidence, and joyful expectation, which are the opposite of fear, doubt, and worry. And that leads to absolute freedom. That leads to absolute joy. That leads to bliss. That leads to ecstasy. This is all our daily spiritual practices are designed for us to do. This is why daily spiritual practice is not an option. In the same way that you have to water your plants frequently, regularly. You have to make sure that your plants are place it in conditions that will allow it to thrive. Right? The sun moves around throughout the year, so that one window you may have your plant in right now, you might have to move it based on how much sunlight it's getting, too much or too little. Right? And we have wonderful mechanisms now, even smart mechanisms that can support you in making sure that you're not overwatering. This is why we say 5-5-5, 15 minutes. Some folks out here overwatering your plants. Right? Trying to do an hour of spiritual practice. It ain't necessary. Nurture, speak well, speak kindly, encourage. And this is what we must insert in the beginning, regardless of what your goal is, regardless of what your biggest dream is, regardless of what the life is that you imagine, because the beginning is the ending. We're making room for God, and that requires a process of clearing, quiet listening, and quiet planning. In this process, it's also important then that we're clear about what we mean when we say God, right? Making room for God, right? It's very important. Because making room for God is not about obeying God. Making room for God is not about following God's so-called rules. Making room for God is not about conforming to a religion's expectations. Making room for God is not about believing in God or gods, for that matter. Making room is like clearing out a pipe so water can flow through. God is the water. We know water is available. We know water flows through pipes easily and effortlessly. We know that water flows through pipes unconditionally. Water does not decide to flow in your home, but not mine. Water does not choose to flow here, but not there. We also know that if a pipe is blocked, fully or partially, the flow of the water is affected. We know that if the pipe is in disrepair, fully or partially, the flow of the water is affected. The water has not changed. The condition of the pipe has changed. The condition of the pipe determines the outcome, determines the flow. The beginning, Lord have mercy, is the ending. Making room for God is simply changing the condition of the pipe, not the water. And the blockage or disrepair is the condition of our very own mind. Again, we did that exercise, and now we realize now there's a blockage or there's some disrepair. The blockage or disrepair is always our pattern of thought. And it takes me back to one of my favorite scenes. I come back to this all the time because it's a visual that we have. You can go back and watch it. There's clips on YouTube, or if you own a copy of it, you can watch it today in The Wiz. Dorothy and Scarecrow, Diana Ross and Michael Jackson. He sings that song, You Can't Win, and she helps him. She volunteers. I'll help you get off the pole. She tells him, you were just a product of some negative thinking. And once he finally gets down, he looks at her and he says, you mean all this time, the only thing standing between me hanging up there and living it down here were those crows? And Dorothy responds, well, they told you you couldn't, and you believed them. So the exercise, we were just revealing the scarecrows. The scarecrows that have us up here on this here pole, singing You Can't Win. Oh my God, right? And then what's interesting about it, one of the things I love is that the song is catchy. So we're bouncing, you can't win, child. No, you can't win, because it sounds good. But listen to what is being affirmed. And then the irony of he's the scarecrow, but the crows wasn't scared of him because he ain't know who he was. Lord have mercy. See, once you know who you are, once the Dorothy within you says, I'll help you down, what happened? The crows scattered. And so this idea of the blockage or the disrepair, this is the condition that the scarecrow is in The Wizard of Oz. It's the same metaphor. The blockage or disrepair is always our pattern of thought. And so making room for God, it's just like the scarecrow getting down off the pole. It's just like never, ever, ever singing You Can't Win, Child again. It's recognizing that the song I was singing and that I was taught to sing doesn't benefit me and is not going to get me where I want to go. The beginning is the ending. We're making room for God this month. And making room for God requires a process of quiet clearing, quiet listening, and quiet planning. As we move through this month's series, we are going to unpack what each step in the process is and how to practice them. This week, take some time. Take some time to write down those fears, those doubts, those worries that showed up in the exercise that we began today. You can go back to the beginning of this sermon and move through that exercise and even hear again those questions that I asked you. This is the information you'll need for the clearing process, which we will talk about next Sunday. And if at any point you start to feel bad or feel down or feel bad about yourself, start to judge or criticize yourself, shame, and any of those things show up, stop. This is not an exercise for punishment. This is an exercise to see what you're ready to release and replace. This is an exercise simply to reveal that there's a blockage in the pipe. The pipe is in disrepair at some level, and that's what's affecting the flow. If it's here it means that there's enough love to heal it. If it's here, it's being brought to the surface so it can be released. Not to shame you, but it's like, I'm ready to go. Thank you so much for checking in, because I don't want to be here. If it's here, you're recognizing that you've been singing that song with the scarecrow and it doesn't serve you. And you're ready to stop singing the song. You're ready to receive the support as embodied in the character Dorothy in that moment. The support that will take you out of this shackled space of being on the pole there in the cornfield and start living it up down here, as the scarecrow said. I am so grateful and thankful for each and every one of you. I'm so grateful for this sermon and where we're going in this series. It only requires your willingness. And again, we're going to walk through this together step by step. It's important that we understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. So that's where we start this week. Next week, we'll focus on the quiet clearing, because I think now you're clear that there's some things you want to clear. You're clear that there's some things that you want to remove. You're clear that these are the things that are standing in the way, but most importantly, that the beginning is the ending. That we have to dig the right foundation that supports the vision that we have for our life. That we have to dig a proper foundation that reflects our biggest dream, that reflects our greatest desire. It is all absolutely possible. And it's also possible to do that with ease. It's also possible to do that and experience bliss. It's also possible to do that and just feel good, to trust yourself, to know that you belong there. And to trust those around you, to know that you're supported, that everyone in your sphere of influence is God-informed. It's a different way to live. And unfortunately, not many people are exemplifying that to us in the mainstream. So it's your turn to be the example. So to this truth, I simply say, amen, ashe, and so it is.
Yes. I saw from the comments that you are actually excited and getting what PG is saying. The beginning is the ending. I mean, if you even think back to all the other quote unquote beginnings that you had, were you in alignment with the right foundation for the vision that you had? Did you dig it deep enough to support how big and grand your vision was? And if you didn't, it's okay.
Yeah.
This is knowledge, this is information so that you can excavate, so that you can plan and dig and prepare. Please, many times when we tell you to go and kind of look and analyze what's been going on, we either get you in a place where you've criticized yourself to death and don't get the benefit of the exercise, or you refuse to do it because you don't want to think about the negative.
Right.
I can't think about the negative, PY, because I know I'm not supposed to. Well, we didn't say live in the negative. We said understand where it's coming from. And to pretend, to identify it, and to pretend it ain't there is to keep you stuck. Is to keep your foundation shallow. This month's series is going to support you in building the skyscrapers of your life.
Yes.
Take the steps this week to identify those negative thoughts and beliefs and fears and doubts and worries. Not hold on to them, not live in them, but understand that they're there, and stop pretending that they're not.
Yeah.
because they're driving the show unconsciously. We want to bring them up so they can be released and replaced.
Yes, yes.
Release and replace. Release and replace.
Absolutely.
Powerful series. I see it from the comments. You are ready for this journey.
Yes.
Thank you, PG.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And so in this moment, you see it here on the screen now. You've seen it throughout the stream. It's time for our giving. And it's very easy to give to CSC. You can go to the website, celebrationsc.org/give, or you can text your dollar amount to 347-744-9500. There is a $10 minimum to give. I want to take this moment to just say thank you to each and every one that continues to give and support CSC, to support this ministry. What I know to be true is that CSC is and has changed and transformed lives. Many of you, if you can give me a heart or a thumbs up now, if CSC has transformed your life, if CSC has powerfully impacted your life. And as you see the hearts coming up, and as you see the comments or the yeses, this is what you're really giving to, right? I mean, you're definitely not giving to us as individuals, right? You're giving to a place and a space that was created to do something very specific and is staying on mission and continuing to do that very thing. And there are folks all around the world that have benefited from who and what CSC has chosen to be, folks that have chosen to not commit suicide because of the message of CSC, folks that have embraced the reality that they're worthy, that have transformed their minds and transformed their lives. We see so many of you succeeding and thriving out in the world and doing powerful things and walking into powerful spaces and being the powerful beings that you are as a result of your choice to be a part of this community. And so we give to sustain that. Right? We give because we recognize that somebody else gave before you to ensure that this space existed so that when your time came, you could arrive and get what you want, right? And get what you needed, right? And in the future, months from now, years from now, there will be others that will be discovering CSC for the very first time, right? We all know about it. It's like, well, you just heard about CSC? There's somebody a year from now that's going to be the very first time, and it's going to change everything for them. And one of the reasons that they will be able to discover CSC or be invited to CSC is because of your support. And that's what we're really giving to. It's very important. And of course, then we understand that giving is a spiritual practice. As we give, we receive. And so we give in joy and we give in love because we recognize it is all coming back to us. And so we affirm all the money that I use.
All the money that I use.
Returns to me multiplied.
Returns to me multiplied.
In a never-ending cycle.
In a never-ending cycle.
Of increase.
Of increase.
And enjoyment.
And enjoyment.
Yes, yes. To that we say amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
So it is.
We have come to the end of our service for this Sunday. And again, we're so grateful for each and every one of you. This has been a powerful time. We always affirm that we leave this space differently than we walked in. No matter how good we feel coming in, I felt good, but now I'm even more fired up. And of course, if we needed a shift, I trust that something supported you in that shift, whether it was the meditation, whether it was the song, whether it was the reading on prosperity right before our prayer. There's so many opportunities if we open our hearts and our minds to receive, to shift the emotional climate going on within us, and to shift our mind, which then shifts our life. I'm looking forward to continuing this series next week. I look forward to connecting with you all on Wednesday for the Momentum Prayer Call. And of course, continue to have an amazing Sunday and an even better week. We love you all. Bye for now.
Bye for now.